Thank you for that information. I want to switch gears just a little bit and talk about deer management.
Okay.
That's the one issue that I hear from a majority of the constituents that I have, and coming from north central Pennsylvania, it's a concern of many folks when you look at areas like the 2G area, and I know that recently the commission voted to split that area, and I think that was the right move, but deer management continues to be a major issue for many people in north central Pennsylvania. So I'd like to have you talk about what the commission is doing to address the concerns of hunters, particularly regarding the deer management program.
Well, it's interesting. On 2G was probably the biggest area of contention, and the challenge there has been to keep the deer in balance with the habitat that's available to them. Deer are keystone species. They will quickly eat themselves out of house and home, and in fact destroy the early successional forests that are so important for other species like snowshoe hare, rabbits, grouse, all kinds of things. So the idea is to keep them in balance with the habitat that's available to them. And we've done that mostly through, in the 2G, to a great extent, through use of DMAP on public and private land. As you may recall, a few years ago, the allocation for 2G was around 52,000 permits or antlerless licenses, and we're down to the mid-20s and low 20s now. We were down as low as 15 at one point in time. From a population point of view, as I mentioned in my comments, there are 4 of the WMUs that, in fact, where the population is increasing is 2F, 2G, I take that back. It's 2D, 2G, and 3C, where those across the top there basically, and 2G in particular, where the population has been increasing slowly. Again, the key is keeping the deer in balance with the habitat. We're getting fewer and fewer complaints once people understand the program. We didn't do a very good job 8 or 9 years ago when we started down this road with education of the deer program. We've done much better over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. I can tell you the number of cards and letters that come in now are fairly minimal compared to what they used to be.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the DMAP program, because it's obviously a valuable tool for landowners, but one of the things I hear most is that the DMAP program is being used to thin out the deer numbers too much. And I want to give you the opportunity to talk about the DMAP program and what kind of accountability there is, what kind of things the commission is doing to make sure that the appropriate number of tags are being given out.
Well, I guess I've split it in between 2 groups, private lands and public lands. Clearly, private lands holders, we believe they have the right to manage their property as best they can for their goals. Same with public lands. We're primarily talking DCNR and Allegheny National Forests in those cases. Their number of DMAP coupons have been going down. As I recall, and I'll get you exact numbers, we gave about 22,000 DMAP permits total last year. I think we took a little over 4,000 deer with those DMAP permits. So you figure 4,000 deer across the state with DMAP is pretty minimal impact locally. And even if it was all in 2G, at the time 2G has over 4,000 square miles, there'll be less than 1 deer per square mile taken. So the impact of DMAP across the board is fairly minimal as far as a deer herd's concerned, but allows the immediate local property owner to manage those deer to the level that they think is appropriate to achieve the goals that they want to achieve, whether that be public or private land.
Well, there are still, I'm surprised to hear you say that the commission is not getting much feedback from people, because as legislators, we're certainly getting a lot of feedback still. And in areas like Potter County, Cameron County, areas that I would call the big woods, I'm still getting a lot of comments from people saying there's no deer, and the economic impact is tremendous. So I think it's still a very significant issue. I think it's something that we continue to have to take a look at, and in the future, I'm actually planning a hearing of the committee just to talk about the deer management issue. So I'd welcome your participation in that, and any additional comments that you might have.
Absolutely. As you know, last year we invited the committee to come to the Game Commission so we could pitch our deer management program, and I would offer that again. Hopefully sometime in April, maybe we can get you out to the building and give you the presentation. We provide it to the Governor's Sportsman Advisory Council. We'll give you that presentation. It takes a little bit of a while. It takes about 2.5 hours to do it. We'll even bring you out for lunch, and that way we'll feed you and give you the deer briefing, and you can understand our approach from the scientific point of view. Now, having said that, there's a social and political aspect of deer management also, as I always describe it as a three-legged stool, and the idea is to keep those legs in balance. But we'd love to set up a date to come out, and you could have the hearing there, or it could be an informational brief, whichever you would like.
Well, balance is definitely the key, and we'll definitely take you up on that invitation. And I know there's going to be other questions today about deer, so we'll move on.